Fox 51 News is your local election headquarters. The 2026 Texas Senate race is already heating up as Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced recently he will challenge Senator John Cornyn for his seat in the U.S. Senate, a seat he's held since 2002, which has been for 22 years, and it could turn out to be one of the most expensive contests in the 2026 midterms. And to give us some local reaction this morning on this race so far, the chairman of the Smith County Republican Party, David Stein, joins us in studio on this Tuesday morning. David, thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So when you found out Paxton announced for this run to go against Cornyn for the U.S. Senate, what was your initial reaction?
Initial was it was expected.
Yeah.
This had really, I don't want to say leaked out, but the people were encouraging him, and I think he'd been thinking about it for quite some time. So it wasn't a surprise at all.
And he's been teasing it for about a year, I think more than a year right now. What do you think kind of made him ultimately make that decision to run against Cornyn?
Well, ultimately,
yeah,
I think it's because I think he believes he can win. I think that really does it. So many people think about running for office.
Right.
And then when they start looking at it, they realize, I don't have the money, I don't have the notoriety. You've seen, for example, when our own Louis Gohmert ran for Attorney General before, he had great notoriety here, but he didn't have the statewide appeal. That was the piece that was missing, because he was certainly qualified for the job. Paxton has both statewide and national appeal, so it makes him a very formidable candidate.
How big of a challenge do you think this will be for Cornyn right now, with Paxton now in the race to get reelected?
It's the biggest one he's had. I don't know who's ahead at this point. I hear different polls say different things,
yeah,
but he is certainly a formidable candidate. He can win. There is a path for him to win this race, and I think that's what's different than before. Do
you think Cornyn was surprised when he announced his kind of run?
No, nobody was not expecting this. Nobody that has been paying attention to this was not, and so Cornyn has been running for a long time. This was not a decision for him. I remember having a conversation with him close to a year ago, and he told me, he said, I'm definitely running.
And one of those polls you were talking about, this recent poll from Texas Public Opinion Research, shows that Paxton wins a hypothetical primary by a 38% to 27% margin over Cornyn right now. Why do you think Paxton might have that early advantage among some Texas voters?
So I don't know who was doing the polling.
Yeah.
But I really think that makes a huge difference, because many times, for example, if a news source that I was not favorable toward called me for an opinion for a poll, I'm probably not going to answer it. So I don't know how the poll was written, how it was done, but it's way, way early for us to be talking about polls.
And in that same poll, I do want to mention it said 36% of voters say Cornyn should be replaced. Does that sound about right? Or again, it just depends on who you're talking to here in the state of Texas?
Well, I think it does, because there is a third of the population is going to be against the incumbent, whoever that it is. So that honestly does not surprise me. And Cornyn has angered some strong conservatives. There have been some votes, the red flag laws, things like that. A lot of deals made for a compromise to get something passed that many people take issue with.
How can Cornyn raise his popularity among some voters that might be conservative, but they might be disappointed in some of his actions before or about the time we get to Election Day in November of next year?
John Cornyn has to activate the silent majority. There are a huge number of people, especially as you get into the more purple areas of Texas. He will have a challenge here in Smith County, but it's activating those voters. The folks who are more active politically and on X and social media and all that definitely are more conservative. And there's varying branches of conservatism as well, but it really is getting the people vocal, the people who don't show up to conventions. Those are his base, the people who have been Republicans for a long, long period of time, because I go to different meetings, different areas, and he's very, very popular. And I know there are people that would think, well, how can that possibly be? But if you really want to understand what's going to happen in this race, people have to be willing to go to groups and areas that are outside their normal path, because you'll hear different things.
On the flip side of that, Paxton's strategy for this race, what do you think it's going to be?
He'll attack on his record. They both are going to attack on the record. And so it's going to be a vitriolic. It's already started out that way. It's early. This is not a primary where we've sort of had to warm up to things. This started off with a sprint. So he's going to attack Cornyn very, very hard on the record. He's going to have the anti-incumbent, which there is a lot of that's out there right now. Cornyn has been in there a long time. He has been associated with Mitch McConnell. I think that's going to be part of Paxton's strategy as well. And I think Cornyn will counter with, look, this is the record. This is what I've done. And his record is not as bad as some people think, but there are some areas to be challenged.
Finally, I wanted to ask you, do you expect, there were some people talking about this could be a campaign or both campaigns to break fundraising records. Do you kind of expect that to happen over the months or year ahead?
Hugely. Cornyn already has a ton of money. He's got a pretty big war chest. So I think that's going to be huge. There's going to be a lot more money raised as it goes on. What this is going to have an effect on in a positive way is voter turnout. There are people that are going to turn out for this that may not normally turn out. And it's going to affect not just that race, but everything down ballot. So the people who are running for county judge and county commissioner and all the offices here in Smith County are going to have to run different campaigns because it's going to affect them, that they'll have to reach a wider voter base.